Welcome everyone, my name is Louis Leyva. Today's topic is about COVID related scams, or stimulus scams I should say. The only thing worse than not getting the money that you deserve or not getting enough of the money that you deserve is losing money to scammers. So today we're going to talk about just some of the scams that have just been showing up in the last few months and what you can do to avoid it to make sure you don't give away your valuable information and your valuable hard-earned money. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so the first scam is people have been getting emails from fake COVID fund. Now what they do is they claim to be the FTC and they claim to have money for you, and all you need to do is send back your banking information. The email reads like this: they're from the Global Empowerment Fund and they're gonna send you some money, but they need your banking information. So as soon as you hand over your banking routing number and all the other information that they need in order to successfully wire that money over to you, what they're going to do is the opposite. They're going to drain your bank account and you're not going to get any money. Now, there is no email going around circulating from the real FTC, and there is no Global Empowerment Fund that's going to be out there to give you money. And if you do get an email like this, what you should do is report it to the real FTC. I'll leave links to all of these down below. If you're getting any stimulus money whatsoever, that money is coming from the IRS, not the FTC. And also, you're going to want to look out for any misspellings. If you see misspellings in these emails, or you see just a weird way of saying things like top of the morning, or greetings, or things like that normally people don't say here in the United States, you're going to want to just think twice before even reading that email. And if you do get it, I suggest you report it. Now remember, we don't get emails from the FTC and we don't get anything like that for stimulus money. The stimulus money will come from the IRS. If you do get an email like this, what I suggest you do is that you report it to the real FTC so we can catch these people who are doing this, the people who don't know any better. The people who fall prey to this a lot of times are either people who need it the most, or people who are elderly who don't have any other means of income. So let's do our part and try to get these scammers caught. So the next scam I want to talk to you about is the unemployment scam. So if you have recently received something stating that you have been approved for any unemployment benefits, then you're going to want to make sure that you reach out to your state's unemployment office, because what's happening is that there are scammers out there who are finding out who the people out there are who have not applied, and they've been applying for unemployment benefits under their name, but the money has been routed into their banking accounts that they control. The second part of this scam is sometimes they direct the money into your bank account, and then they call you and they claim to be the unemployment office and state that the money was sent to you in error. So they ask for you to send that money back to them. Sometimes they'll ask you to wire it back or put it on gift cards or just some weird stuff. But there are people out there who fall for this stuff. So if you get this type of phone call, text message, or email, or if you find out that you've been receiving or you got approved for unemployment funds when you haven't even applied for them, these are the steps that you need to take. First, you need to report that fraud to your employer. Next, you're going to want to report this to your unemployment agency and also keep track of anyone you've spoken to. Next, you're going to want to report this to identitytheft.gov. What they're going to do is they're going to help you freeze your credit. They're going to help you get a copy of most recent credit report, and they're also going to help you get subsequent credit reports later on down the road. That way you can keep track to see if there's anyone who's been using your credit for anything else. They're also going to give you a 1-year fraud alert on your credit and help you even freeze your credit if you have to, in order to make sure that nothing else gets damaged in your personal history, or there's nothing else that they can possibly do with your credit information. And lastly, remember, just because nothing popped up on your credit when you got the credit report initially doesn't mean that it won't pop up later on down the line. So you're going to want to always routinely check your credit to make sure there's no inconsistencies and there aren't any new inquiries that you don't recognize, because this is one thing that most people don't understand. Just because you don't have any new trade lines or any new accounts doesn't mean that your credit hasn't been applied for in different places. So you're going to also want to check the section that says recent credit inquiries. And if you don't know of those credit inquiries and what they are, then you're going to want to make sure that you report those or you look into those further. Now, routinely, our banks and our credit cards do check our credit. So if you see that on there, don't worry. That's just them checking up to make sure that you're still in good standings. It's not anything to worry about. But if you see something that's totally out of the blue, that's not consistent with the stuff you already have, then that's a red flag. Our next scam is targeted towards college students. And as you know, a lot of college students have been left out in the cold and have not been able to receive any stimulus checks or any help whatsoever. So they're receiving emails they claim to be from the financial department in their college. And in the email, it states that they need to go ahead and put in their personal information and put in the credentials to their emails and to everything else, so that way they can register for this stimulus payment or this COVID-19 payment that is due to them. But all that this is a phishing scam, and it'll take their personal information and even attack you with malware. And they'll then use their email addresses and start reaching out to people that they know. And they'll start scamming people in their circle, and they'll start going after their parents or saying, hey, mom and dad, I need some money, for this and that. And they'll just wire the money thinking that it's going to their kid. So there is no limit to these scammers' potential. They're going after all these different types of demographics just because they know they can use the word COVID, or they can use the pandemic, or they can use stimulus, because people right now are just so fixated in getting some money in their pocket. Then they're using this to their advantage because it is just going to get everyone's attention, and they're going to be blinded thinking that this is legit. Okay, so the last scam I want to talk to you about is the scam where people will try to get your personal information, such as your social security number, your date of birth, and all these specific things about you, so they can apply for the stimulus payment themselves, and they will then keep your money. This happened to a lot of Americans this last time around, and hopefully if you're watching this video, you don't let this happen to you, or you let other people know that this is a possibility that it can happen to them, so that way it doesn't happen to us and we start catching who these scammers really are. So here are 4 ways in which you can avoid the coronavirus scam that is out there for stimulus payments. Number 1, you're going to want to make sure that you only upload information into irs.gov, no other website. Number 2 is that the IRS will never contact you via phone, text message, email, or social media. The only correspondence they will have with you is a written letter, and you'll know when it's addressed by the IRS. It will not be addressed from anywhere else, and it will not ask you to go and give them any personal information that they don't already have. Number 3, this may sound like common sense, but a lot of people are falling for this. You do not have to pay in order to receive your stimulus payment. You'll not have to send them a check, a wire, or anything like that in order to be eligible. But some people are falling for this, so make sure that this does not happen to you. And lastly, number 4, they will never ask you to repay a portion of your stimulus check because they overpaid you. That is a scam. So if you do get any one of these 4, make sure you report it, and make sure that you do not fall for it, and make sure you let other people know what happened to you so that they don't actually fall for it themselves. Now, if you think for 1 second that people are not falling for scams like this, well, you're actually very, very wrong. I recently had a client who not only once, but twice sent out his life savings to people in Jamaica who are actually creating these fraudulent scams for telling older people that they've actually won some kind of sweepstakes that they never even entered into. And they got this guy for all of his life savings. I don't even want to mention how much the first time around. But the second time around, they got him again. And they promised him that he had won a Mercedes and he had won $2 million. And all he had to do was pay for the taxes associated to getting that money. And he would send over all this money, and then in promise and hopes that he would receive this money back. Recently, when I sold his home, I told the attorney who was representing him, make sure this man does not take these proceeds and send it to someone who is going to take him for a ride. Now, I hope to God that he listened to the attorney and did not send it, because he's elderly, and these people are the ones who fall for these scams the most. It's very sad to say, but it's true. And even more recently than that, there's a real estate scam that's been going on. I represent a seller in a transaction, and the buyer who's buying my client's property actually received an email recently stating that they had to wire out money for their down payment to purchase their home. Now, the problem is that email came from a fictitious email address that was playing it off to be the title company, but they were never really the title company, and the clients went even as far as trying to confirm with the mortgage company that it was okay to wire money. And I'm sure the mortgage company had every intention in the right place, and they said, yeah, you're supposed to wire the money for your down payment. So they wired the money, and it's in 6 digits that they wired over, and that money right now is up in the air. It's gone. So let's make sure that we can report these scams when they happen, and let's not get caught up in them. And if you know anyone who's purchasing a house, or you know any elderly people who might fall for these scams, make sure that you talk to them and make sure that they don't fall for it themselves. And if you guys are looking to get into real estate, or you know someone who is looking to get into real estate, as I mentioned earlier, that's what we do. We're in a real estate business. I encourage you guys to fill out the form down below so we can talk, have a chat, and see how it can bring value to each other. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can be alerted when we do any new videos like this. If you enjoyed this content, I'm going to leave a playlist right here where you guys can actually binge out on all the great information that we have out there on business, real estate, and all the money that's out there available for us right now through the stimulus programs. So thank you guys for watching and making it to the end of this video, and I'll see you over there on the next video in just a second.